Welcome to Women and the Businesses They Own, where we sit down with women who lead with purpose, resilience, and heart in business and in their life. I'm your host, Shari Hooper, and today's conversation is one you won't want to rush through. Today's conversation is one that truly meets people where they are, in their homes, in their bodies, and often in very vulnerable seasons of their lives. I'm so honored to welcome Jenna Smith, owner of Vitality at Home, a practice providing in-home physical therapy, especially for individuals who are immobile or living with Parkinson's or other mobility limiting conditions. Jenna, I am so glad you're here. Before we dive in, please tell me a little bit about you, your background, what led you to physical therapy, and what ultimately inspired you to build Vitality at Home.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sherry. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm actually a Grand Rapids native. I grew up here and moved out east for college and for grad school. I went to Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts, where I got my doctorate in physical therapy. From there, met my husband, worked a few years, and then we ended up moving back to the Grand Rapids area with our two kids who are currently 8 and 10. Um, so I graduated physical therapy about 16 years ago, and in my career, I have worked anywhere from outpatient clinics to acute care hospitals to subacute rehab facilities. But there was always one constant, and it was that I was always working with older adults. And I just found that that's where my passion was. I felt like that's where I could have the biggest impact on people's lives. And really help prove to people that it is possible to live their best life at any age. About 6 years ago, I was working exclusively in home health. And when I first started in home health, you had the unique opportunity to see your patients for almost 10 to 12 weeks after a major extended hospitalization. So you were able to help these individuals return to their prior level of function or how they were moving around and getting around before their hospitalization or their illness or their injury. But about 6 years ago, Medicare made some pretty significant changes to how they reimburse for home health care. And us physical therapists were finding that our time with our patients was incredibly limited. So now we were no longer able to help these individuals return to their prior level of function. It was more like, let's throw all the education that we can at them to make sure they're safe. And then we have to discharge because there's no more insurance money left. Um, that did not sit super well for me. And I remember I was at a patient's house that was very, very near and dear to me. It had been the fourth plan of care that I had seen them for in that year. We kept seeing them and having to discharge, and he would have a fall, and we would come back in and we'd see him again, and then we'd have to discharge. So I was having a conversation with my supervisor at the time, and she had said, Jenna, it's time to discharge this guy. And I was like, okay, so here's the deal. We've discharged him 3 times already this year, and that's just not working. We have to continue to see this guy because he doesn't fall when he's on service, but the second we discharge him, he falls. So clearly we're doing something to keep him off the ground. And this guy was like 6'4", and his wife was maybe 5'3" on a good day. And she couldn't physically do exercises with him that would have any kind of impact on his mobility safely. So I sat down with the patient and his spouse and said, "Hey, listen, my hands are tied, right? It's your insurance and I can't do anything about it." And they looked at me and they said, "Well, so we're going away to Florida and we'll be back in May, and you're going to have to figure out how you're going to see us on a regular basis just to keep George strong and moving." And I was like, okay. So I never expected to be an entrepreneur myself. I never expected to start a business. But in this moment, I thought, okay, well, maybe there is something that I can do. So I went down a rabbit hole and found that there were several mobile outpatient physical therapy practices that were starting to pop up all over the country to fill this gap of patient that didn't have enough therapy for home health, but then for whatever reason, there are several reasons why, didn't make that transition into an outpatient physical therapy practice. So in the spring of 2020, in the middle of COVID, I said, well, why not? Let's try it. And so here
I
we
know.
are. Yeah, here we are 6 years later, um, with a thriving practice,
I
seeing
love COVID
individuals
stories. Like,
in their own home. Yeah.
well, kind of makes sense. Everybody was kind of locked down in their own home. You just kind of like snuck over to the next house and helped them in their home.
Well, that's just it. And it was so funny because it was such a mindset
Yeah.
shift because here you are hearing like from the media, like stay away from people, don't go
Yeah.
outside, don't go here, don't do this. And so I thought, oh my gosh, nobody is gonna want me in their home, right? Like I am somebody who is out in the community going into several different people's homes. I have two young kids who are still going to school. Like I could be carrying anything. So I thought, I had this whole block of like, how is this ever gonna work? And then it just so happened that it was this shift of individuals that wanted more of a concierge type service in their own home. They trusted me more than they trusted themselves going into a big, busy clinic.
Yeah. So where did the name Vitality at Home come from? I get the at home kind of part. I mean,
Yeah,
vitality, it says a lot. How did you come up with that word?
it just, I have no, it was a feeling. I have to be perfectly honest. I heard the word once and I said, you know what? The word vitality has to be part of my practice. There is a strength
Yeah,
in that word. I mean, the word itself does mean strong and energetic, and it just, it is part of my like core value system of being able to prove to people that they can live a life full of strength and a life full of energy and live the life that they worked so hard for and they planned for. And so that word vitality just kind of like encompasses everything that I feel like I bring to people on a daily basis.
I love that. That's a really good word. I mean, that word is, some words just kind of, I mean, every word is kind of like, or hey. I mean, that's like a hey word.
Yes,
That's like
yes.
a wake up word.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to some of the things that you said because how is it that you were born and raised here, but you went to Boston and came home? I mean, Boston's one of the best cities in all of America. Has so much
Listen.
history. It's one of my favorites. How did
Yeah.
you leave? First of
Listen,
all, how
I
did you
have
get
no
there?
idea. And Sherry, I literally ask myself this every single day because I too absolutely love Boston. And
Yeah.
any chance I get, I would go back. And if you told me today that I was going to be a billionaire, I would move back today.
Back to
Um,
Boston.
but the reality is Boston is a very saturated market from a healthcare standpoint. There are
Okay.
over 50 universities in like the Boston area and several physical therapy schools. So when you're just fresh out of school and they're hiring, they don't they don't have to pay you. Everyone's working for the experience. So
Oh,
from like a financial logistic, like I've got to pay my student loan standpoint,
right.
I ended up moving out of there. But
That,
still do go back and visit every chance I get.
yeah. So, did you say you met your husband there at school, or did you know him before you went to school?
So I knew him before I went to
Okay.
school. We actually went to high school together and
Oh,
then
okay.
like separated for college and undergrad. And then he actually had his first job out at General Dynamics in Connecticut. And so we
Okay.
reconnected when we were both on the East Coast.
And
Um,
then decided to come back here, West Michigan, because that's where family is, and
yeah.
a great
Mhm.
place to raise a family. I mean,
You know
there's nothing
what?
wrong
It's
with Grand
not
Rapids.
bad because within all that, we did do like a short stint in a suburb of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And again, just doing the math of, daycare costs and school costs and housing costs. We're like, you know what? We could have a nice backyard and a nice home, and we could live right close to grandparents who want to provide free childcare.
Right.
It just made sense.
It makes great sense. Well, so
Yeah.
you guys are like high school sweethearts. That's so cute.
Well, we
Ish.
did not date in high school. We just knew each
Oh,
other. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then
Well, that's
reconnected
so good.
afterwards.
That's a lot of history. And so you have your doctorate. Is that 12 years of school?
No, eight. So
8 years
I
of
did four
school.
years
Okay.
of undergrad and then 4 years of grad school. And
Okay.
then so then after I graduated with my doctorate, um, and I really decided that geriatrics was the way that I wanted to go,
Hmm.
I went through a certificate program through the University of Michigan where I spent another 2 years kind of deep diving into the world of geriatrics. And
Okay.
then after I completed that certification program, I sat for my geriatric clinical specialty certification through the American Physical Therapy Association.
Okay.
So, in addition to having my doctorate in physical therapy, I'm also a geriatric clinical specialist.
Okay. So, I mean, there's at least 10 years there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a lot. And it just flew by, right?
Just so fast, so fast.
So even at the end, then you said that you guys got married after school, right?
Yes.
Were you doing the 2 years of geriatric study when you were married?
Yes, married and pregnant
I was gonna say, and
with
then
our
doing
son.
cool. Okay, the kids
Yeah,
came. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so you're doing all of this, and you're starting out, and you're pregnant, and then oh my gosh, how did you balance all of that?
I mean, not very well. Right? Don't you just like kind of look back and you're like, what happened? And honestly, I think that so it was about 6 years ago that I started Vitality at Home. And that's about when my kids were just starting to like, okay, they could kind of get themselves dressed. It was like the chaos was starting to sort of like level out.
Okay,
So then why not start a business?
so now
You know what I mean?
why not amp that chaoticness again? I
Right.
mean, you
I
were
think I
missing
just
it.
thrive in an environment of chaos.
So when you started Vitality at Home, did you have somebody that you brought on as another employee right away? Was it just you for a minute and then business grew? I mean, how did you manage that growth?
Yeah, when I look back at it, it just seems so wild to me because it all happened so organically. Um, I I started Vitality at Home and had gone down from working full time 5 days a week to just working 3 days a week, and then building my patient caseload by simply word of mouth.
Okay.
Just telling family and friends that, hey, I'm available to do this if you have a grandparent or you have a loved one that's older. I would love to help out in any way that I can. I can bill Medicare Part B, so it's insurance based. So started out working my real job 3 days a week, and then just organically building Vitality at Home 2 days a week. And within a year, I had gotten to the point where I was so busy. I had a therapist that I worked with years ago reach out and just say, "Hey, I hear you have, a pretty flexible position available." Um, because at the time it really was just a very I don't like mom and pop kind of organization, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would just see patients, and as they would discharge, I would tell somebody else that I had an opening, and it just grew that way. So within that year, I had gone down to just per diem at my regular job, and then this other therapist reached out, and she said, "I just want flexibility in a job. I don't want to have to go to meetings, and I don't want to have to be held to like these crazy, crazy standards of corporate healthcare. I just want to
Right.
see patients and spend time with my kids." And so I said, I have the perfect position for you. So she started with me. And then a couple months later, I had an occupational therapist that I worked with forever reach out and say the same thing, right? Like, I just had my first son and I need something super flexible. I don't want to be held to a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I want to be able to flex to Saturdays if I have to. Don't want to work holidays. Don't want to be nailed down to weekends. I said, okay, I have the perfect job for you.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. It just
and
kept
then,
coming. You didn't,
yeah,
the
and then
people were
after
coming to
that,
you.
exactly, and that was what's so crazy is it just, you talk about like the universe or God or whoever putting you in the right place at the right time and just like
Yes.
the life showing you what you need to be doing and where you need to be. And this just in hindsight is proof that this is exactly what I meant to be doing because it was such organic growth.
Yeah.
Um, we then put out our first job ad and hired another therapist. And so again, it's been very organic growth. This last year, we first dabbled in actual, real, legitimate marketing where
All right.
we have actual flyers, we have actual wrap cards and business cards. So it was, yeah, 4.5 years of organic growth. And now in the last year, we've really put some muscle into it and um are working on growing because we are seeing such a need.
Yeah.
With the baby boomers getting older. And honestly, I think that the baby boomer generation is taking a more active and more serious approach to their aging. They saw how their parents aged,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
They saw their parents sitting in recliners all day and watching TV all day and not eating healthy. And they saw sort of the long, slow fourth quarter of
Demise.
life. And they're starting to look at it and think, you know what? I raised my children to, work harder than I did and be more successful from a financial standpoint than I did. I don't want to leave them anything. I worked my butt off for all of this so that I could enjoy retirement. I want to travel. I want to be there for my grandkids. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it and not spend my time in doctor's offices, my money on copays and deductibles. Like, I want to be out living my life because
Yeah.
that's what retirement's all about.
That's what it should be all about. And it
Well,
should be
yeah,
more quality, right? Quality of life. And that's what I guess that
exactly.
you're just trying to describe a little bit there is like they want to be able to be mobile.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
want
for
they
sure.
want to be mobile. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it doesn't do any good to just to sit in the chair for your final phase of life. I mean, where is the passion and the purpose and where's the YOLO?
Exactly. And honestly, that is really like one of the biggest things that we focus on when we first go see a patient is like in that first visit, we have to establish a why. We have to tease it out of them because the reality is if you don't have a why, if you don't have a
Mhm.
purpose or a reason to wake up and get out of bed every single morning, like why are you going to spend time being uncomfortable exercising and why are you going to care if your knee hurts a little bit and
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
just
exactly.
teasing that why out of people and then teaching them because I think a lot of people as they get older say like okay well my why is my kids and my why is my grandkids and I do have this dream of taking this vacation or doing this something or other but then they get all these ageist messages from friends or other family members or even the media right where they're like but I'm old like I that
Oh,
my time is up my time hasn't come and so one of the most fun things that we get to do after we tease out the why is prove to them that this is still very possible, right?
yeah.
Maybe it doesn't look like how you pictured it when you were 40. Maybe that trip to Europe doesn't look like you backpacking and like I don't know, whatever people do. But like maybe it looks a little bit different. Maybe your kids are accompanying you, which how great would that be, right? Maybe somebody does have to wheel your suitcase around for you, but like you still get to go,
You
right?
still
Like
get to go. Yep.
it's still fully
Oh,
possible for you to take that trip. It's still fully possible for you to do the thing that you want to do,
or to
you know?
be invited on the trip because they see that you have the ability to go, right? I mean,
Exactly.
so many times parents, grandparents aren't really invited because you look and you're like, they're not going to make it. That's way too much
Yeah.
work for my vacation.
Yeah,
Like you want,
exactly.
yeah,
You're
you want to
so
be,
right.
mhm. You want to be in a place where you can be asked to go. So,
Exactly, for sure.
and YOLO, I said that's you only live once. So just for my
No.
listeners that are like, what's YOLO?
I
YOLO,
love
you only
that.
live once. And so many times I'm just hearing these sad, sad stories over and over
Yeah.
again. I lost my best friend, and my brother-in-law, my sister. It's like, you know what? There's so much life to live. You can be a lifelong learner, or you
It's
can go
so
to
true.
a museum. You don't, it's not always about travel, right? But
Right.
you don't want to have restrictions and not be able to go anywhere or do anything. So I'm going to ask you really quick. You were working inside, well, so you were working before you did Vitality at Home. It sounded like people were coming to you to do physical therapy,
Well,
right?
so
Or how
no,
did
so I was right before I started Vitality at Home, I was exclusively working in home care,
in the
home
home
health
care?
care for about 3 years. And home health care is in-home visits where you
Okay.
have to be considered homebound, right? So
Homebound.
there
Yep.
has to be a difficult and taxing effort. It has to be a difficult and taxing effort for you to leave the home. Um,
Well,
and
so why do you think it's more essential to be in people's homes versus them coming to you? Or, I
yeah,
mean, I can see lots of benefits, but share with our listeners. I mean, I would think that it would be very busy for you if people are like, you're coming to me. I mean, there's got
right.
to be so much value there.
Exactly. So I think the first and the most obvious answer is that transportation can be very challenging for older adults, right? Some no longer have a license, some don't like to drive on busy streets. Many of them, if the weather's bad, will just say, "No, thanks, I'm good."
Mm.
Um, so for whatever reason, or and some, it can be exhausting
Yeah.
to get themselves ready, get out of the house, get into the car, drive
Right.
somewhere, get out of the car, participate in 30 to 60 minutes of therapy, and then get back in the car and do it all again, right? So that's the obvious reason why therapy in the home is can be superior for many people. Um, but the reality is that when you're having therapy in your home, you have the unique opportunity to have your therapy in your own environment.
Yeah.
So when you tell us that you want to be able to carry your laundry up and down the stairs so that your kids don't make you move out of your house to a single level home, we get to use your stairs. We're using your laundry basket. We're using your laundry, right? So it's not this guessing game that it is in the clinic of, okay, so we are going to put together 12 stairs with a handrail and a basket and fill it with there's no
Yeah.
there's no guessing. We're using your stairs, we're using your chairs, we're using your grass that you have to walk around. We're using your garden that you want to be able to get down and up from so that you can continue to garden. We're using your path to the mailbox, right? So there's no guesswork. The thing as therapists that we love about it is that no one's pulling the wool over our eyes, right? So we're seeing your dark lit hallways, we're seeing the throw rugs, we're seeing the clutter that may be there, we're seeing all these safety things firsthand. So you can't trick us, right? Um,
I
and
love that.
then
You can't trick us. You can't tell me that there's not going to be something there I mean, you're mentioning all these things that they could fall over, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think a lot of times, in the clinic as therapists, we really try hard to pull all these things out of people. But even the sharpest individual, like if I were to go to therapy tomorrow and someone were to say how many stairs you have down to your basement, I'd be like, uh, maybe 12. Like, I don't know.
Right. Nobody counts the stairs.
Exactly. So when we're in the people's homes, we get to see that. The other nice thing is that oftentimes in an outpatient clinic, you are handed a piece of paper with your exercises, and you're told, here, these
Yeah.
are the exercises we've been doing in the clinic, and now these are the exercises I want you to continue out at home. Good luck. Now, when we're in someone's home, we typically carve out a space for them and we say, okay, this is going to be your exercise space. And we are using what they have in their home. I mean, every single one of us are a mobile gym too. I mean, I've got kettlebells, dumbbells, resistance bands, balance mats, all kinds of stuff in my car. But we typically like to set people up for success long term instead of just the 12 to 24 weeks that they're with us. And so we get a space for them organized where they have all their equipment that they may need to exercise. And then we show them in their own environment how these exercises need to be done. So they're having external cues, they're having internal cues, visual cues, all of these things where they're not having to translate from the clinic into the home.
Those are amazing points. I wasn't really thinking of the driving or, being able to use their own things in their home that they're struggling over. They're like, I
Yeah.
can't get up and down the stairs. Well, now you're there to get them up and down the stairs.
Yeah, and that's also a huge confidence booster as
Yeah.
well. So an example that I'm thinking of is a lot of times, well, okay, so the bathroom is the most dangerous room in the house,
Okay.
right? I mean, slippery, hard surfaces everywhere. It's a very common place that people fall.
Hmm.
And after a fall, especially a bad fall, there's a whole psychological process that happens with people that leads to a major fear of not only falling, but also of being in the place that they have fallen, right? So, for example, we've seen people that have fallen in their garage before,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
after the fall, they've never been back to the garage because it's just such a trigger and such a terrifying place for them.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to, okay, so say someone falls in the shower, right?
Okay. Yep.
We're there training them how to safely get in and out of the shower and slowly helping them build that confidence back in their own shower.
Okay. So it's a lot of mental and physical, really.
It's huge. It's huge. And I think that there's a big trust factor too when someone's in their own home.
Yeah.
They tend to
Yeah.
trust themselves a little bit more and they tend to be just a little bit more comfortable with
Yeah.
it. So instead of just training in the clinic, here's how you would do a shower transfer. Here's how you would get in and out of your garage. We're actually there proving to them that they're strong and that they're capable of doing this safely again.
Well, and especially if after they've fallen, if they're stuck there, not able to get up for several hours and nobody's noticing them. I mean, that'd be a room I'd never go back to. I'm like, I was there for
Exactly.
12 hours and nobody
Right.
knew. There
Right.
was a there was a story because you and I actually met from Savvy Seniors,
Yeah.
and I was at Savvy Seniors this past Tuesday, and they were talking about a gentleman that had, I think, gone out for his meal and had tripped and fell in the yard, and nobody found him till the next day
Oh
when
my
his
God.
transportation came to pick him up. You know, it was one of the home repair services opportunities there that they have transportation. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
all night, like that guy just, he couldn't move and
Yeah.
freezing, and you're on the ground. And I mean, so
Yeah.
yeah, I can see where a lot of these, if they fall in the shower and like you're mentioning the garage, I mean, these are places that they probably don't get right back up. So there's a lot of mental or emotional feelings as you're
Absolutely.
describing. I was thinking when you were talking about coming into the home, I'm like, well, one, they don't have to get dressed and ready. They don't have to look like anything, right? And they might
Yeah.
not even feel like getting dressed and ready. But the biggest thing for me was I hate like going through therapy with 100 other people in the room or 12 people in the room. I don't care. But when you're
Yeah.
in your own home, you're going to get more out of them. I mean, we don't look our best when we're exercising, especially when it doesn't feel good, right? So
Right.
I would think in your home, you're going to get the best out of them, and it's private. Nobody's going looking over and going, oh, that doesn't look
Yeah.
good.
Right.
No
Exactly.
judgment.
I always say to people, they're like, wait, you come to us? And I said,
Right.
yeah. I mean, what is better than therapy in your jammies with your cup of coffee? Right? Like, I
With your
can't,
cup of
I
coffee.
like, help me
You're like,
understand.
you're
I
like,
can't
hold your
imagine.
coffee like that for me for 5 minutes.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
incorporating props here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, so do you use a level of self-talk yourself personally, and then do you use it with your I guess you call them your clients, your patients? I mean,
Yeah. A level of, I didn't hear you. What was
oh, I'm
that?
sorry, self-talk. Because it
Self-talk.
sounds,
Oh,
yeah, because it sounds like all of this emotional stuff. Sometimes it's mindsets, right? Do
it, I mean, it's not sometimes a mindset. It's always a mindset.
you,
The
oh, I like
reality,
you.
yeah, 100%. Because honestly, the reality is if you have a negative mindset on aging, you tend to make poor health decisions, right? So if
Mhm.
you're someone that thinks, okay, well, I'm 76 years old. I'm a diabetic and I feel a little bit unsteady. Like this is just normal for aging. And I'm probably just going to progress with my diabetes and then I'm going to get heart disease and then I'm going to be stuck to a recliner for my whole life because that's what I saw my mom do. So that's just what I'm going to do. That is a mindset that is, like if you think you will, right?
Yes, agreed.
Um,
Yep,
and
absolutely.
so we encounter a lot of that in people. I mean, on a daily basis, we encounter a lot of those sort of ageist, that internal ageism, those feelings of, I can't do this exercise because I'm too old, or I don't deserve this because I'm too old. So
Ugh.
that mindset shift is imperative for us to instill in these people. And, you asked if I use it for myself too, every single
Yes.
day, right? Because it's
Yes.
like, all right, well, I don't want to get up and exercise. And I'm someone that exercises 5 days a week. I don't want to do it every single day. But I know that I know what happens if I don't do it,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
so the way we help shift these people is first by just listening to them like, okay, all right. If you think that that's your fate and if you think that's your destiny, you can think that, but I'm going to prove you wrong.
Okay.
So it's about showing them these small wins, right? So something along the lines of, okay, well, last week you needed to pull yourself up the stairs with both hands to get up the stairs.
Hmm.
Now you're able to walk up the stairs holding on with one handrail. Like that's a huge improvement.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, you have proved to yourself that you are capable of improvement.
Yep.
Now, is that gonna are you gonna look like a 30-year-old Olympic athlete in 6 months? Honestly, probably not. So
No.
so
No.
reframing it, making their goals realistic, but definitely helping them shift their mindset through small wins is really how we do it.
Well, you might not. I mean, you must have patients of all ages, right? I mean, you must have somebody in their 50s, don't you? Or 55 or 60. I mean, you're not always working in the scene. I hope 50 is not senior. Let's not go there.
Yeah,
But I mean, what
yeah.
are the ages? I mean, I'm assuming men and women, all ages. And just kind of describe, because I would think the self-talk could be ultimately better, shaping that mindset. Because if we never go into old age, and I'm saying that loosely, if we never go into old age thinking we're going to be old, that's half the battle, in my opinion. You don't even get to these obstacles because you
Yeah,
already have a mind, a shift in your mind that says, I'm not old. I'm
right.
living my life to the fullest, and I'm just going to keep doing these things. I'm going to keep being mobile. I mean, I guess for
Yeah.
me, that's what it is. It's just like never succumbing to these depressing type words of old. Why aren't we just mature? Why aren't we just more wise? Why aren't we more experienced? I mean,
Vibrant.
vibrant.
Yes. No, absolutely. You are absolutely right. And I mean, you had mentioned mindset being half the battle. I think it's the majority of the battle, to be honest,
Yeah,
because with a positive mindset, you just make better choices. But we do see a wide variety. We market mostly to like the Medicare demographic, right?
sure,
So
sure.
I would say currently our age demographic is anywhere from 60 to I think our oldest client right now is 96.
Woo! I like that.
Still
Yeah.
living in his own home.
Okay.
So yeah, very cool. And it's what's really cool is that not only is it a wide age range, it's also a wide functional range. So, for example, yesterday, my first client was a gentleman that had his rotator cuff repaired, and his goal is to return to golfing.
Oh
And
yeah.
then my next patient is a gentleman that had his first stroke 13 years ago and then fell and hit his head, and which led to a brain bleed about 4 years ago. And we're seeing him simply for what we call maintenance therapy. I think a common misconception about therapy is individuals are only given a certain amount. Well, once they have Medicare, as long as they're progressing or as long as there's a medical need for them to have therapy,
Uh-huh.
insurance is going to pay for it.
Oh,
So
nice. Okay.
so this individual had a stroke, and we are in there working with him 2 times a week to make sure that he maintains his current level of function. Because if he gets worse, if he requires more physical assistance, he's going to have to seek out a higher level of care. So right now he's
Right.
living at home with his wife.
Okay.
If he requires more physical assistance, he's going to have to go into a long-term care facility. And so
Yeah.
physical therapy is helping prevent that. So you go from a rotator cuff that's trying to get back to golf to
Yeah.
then a guy that had a stroke that's just trying to live the rest of his life at home. To then I have a husband and wife couple that have
Oh,
no impairments, and we see them for wellness
okay.
because they don't want to get old, right? So
Yeah.
I'm in there 2 times a week, and we are exercising, and it looks like fitness training. It looks like personal training, but personal training with a twist, right? So the husband has some shoulder issues, and so every exercise we're doing, we're modifying to help
Okay.
prevent that shoulder issue from flaring up. He has shoulder issues because of his posture. So we do a lot of exercises that are going to help improve his posture so that he
Okay.
doesn't end up, because of
Yeah.
his posturing, he's at a really high risk for that sort of hump that you see in a lot of
Oh,
older people.
yes. Yep.
So we're doing a lot of exercises to prevent that. The wife has a history of compression fractures because of
Oh,
osteoporosis. So we're doing very tailored exercises for her to help improve her bone density, to help optimize her balance and her power and her strength so that we prevent falls so that she can continue to live her life not being afraid of falling and fracturing,
you have
right?
a lot on your plate. You have to like open your car door and go, okay, this is where I am, and this is what
Yeah.
we're doing this one. And then you leave and you'll open your car door and you're like, okay, now I've got to do things all this way and bring all of these new, this ball and this whatever. And then, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
And
lot.
it's so fun. And it
And you
is
love it.
so fun. I do, because it's like, okay, the resistance may change, right? The
Yeah.
type of resistance or the type of equipment that I use with my people may change, but the reality is everyone is just trying to live their best life. And I get to be their partner in doing that.
Well, I think that's great when it goes back to what you said, before you started Vitality at Home, everything just kind of fell into place and it just
Yeah.
kind of felt like it was meant to be. It was just maybe that's, everything that led up to that, your schooling or your other jobs and meeting that particular client that actually is the one that held you accountable, right? And
Yeah.
then just said, when we're back from Florida, you better figure this out.
Exactly.
But then
Exactly.
everything just seemed, I mean, I don't want to make starting a business seem so easy. For you, you had a lot of things that just fell in your lap pretty
Hmm.
organically.
I
And
did.
looking back, you can just think like everything that you did led you to this moment. And for me, I
Yeah.
would call that a God thing, right? And I think
Yeah,
you had
absolutely.
alluded to that too. And now you just love what you do. You get to wake up every day and think, I am doing what I love. And
Yeah.
that's the goal for all of us, I would think. And it's part of being a business owner.
Yeah.
I mean, business owners have struggles. So you'd rather not do marketing or be on the computer. It's a necessity. I mean, you don't want
Exactly.
to necessarily invoice. It's a necessity, but you'll also get to do what you love, and that's where you shine. And your smile so bright when you're talking about all of your patients, your clients. So, let me just transition a little bit and just tell
Yeah.
everybody if they're enjoying our podcast, please share it with other people. Please like and maybe even subscribe so you don't miss the next podcast. I'd love to continue to share these ladies' stories because they're so important. We all have so many stories to share. And, sometimes we're just not asked. And I think it's awesome that we get to just tell people what schooling we did, how we met our spouses, and mostly what about our businesses. And in this case, this is such a unique one. I hope everybody shares Vitality at Home. And now I'm going to ask you a few fun questions.
Oh
These
gosh, let's
ones,
go.
yeah, can't really prepare for these ones. They're really easy. So I think I already know this one, but is there a day that you feel like you might retire or do you want to work forever?
Well, so sometimes I feel like it's not work, right? Because
Exactly.
I personally love to exercise and I'm constantly exercising with other people. So I don't think that exercise piece will ever leave me. But I do hope to retire because I do have those dreams of like travel and grandkids and being active and vibrant in the community, things that you don't get to do when you're working, you
Yeah,
know.
that's true. Yep, that's
So
good. Okay.
someday, but I will tell you,
Oh, yeah.
my mom and I are very similar, and my mom's 76
Okay.
and still working. So,
Oh,
I mean,
she must love what she does too.
yeah, historically, like I'm at a very, very large disadvantage for retirement.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, so do you prefer a mountain vacation or a beach vacation?
Beach. Oh my gosh, beach all day long. I love the
Okay.
sun. I know
Yeah,
that's not, I
me.
know it's like one of my like bad, bad health choices. I do love the sun, but I wear
Oh,
sunscreen.
no. The sun is good. I believe the sun is good for us.
Yeah.
Vitamin D all the way.
Vitamin D. Yes.
So what is your favorite type of exercise?
Good question. So it goes in waves for me,
Okay.
for sure. I love to lift weights because I know how
Okay.
good it is for me. I also love to run because like for example, right now I'm training for the Riverbank Run.
Oh, good. Good.
So it's just like I feel like running is, you can set a goal and achieve it in a short amount of time. I really like that. Whereas when you're strength training, it's more of a long term.
Okay.
game, right?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
at this point, I've been strength training for so many years that I don't see that those like physical improvements as much anymore. It's
Okay.
more like mental improvements that
Yeah,
I see
sure.
for me. Um, I do love Orange Theory. I don't know
Oh,
if you've
okay.
heard of that, but that's a
I've
it's like
seen
a
the
strength.
building.
Yeah, it's like half strength, half strength training
Okay.
gym in
Ha-
town.
Half strength training, half, what was the other half?
Running.
Running. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah. So
really
it's a little
good.
bit of both.
Yeah, I'll have to think about them. Do you love tennis shoes or high heels?
Oh, sneakers all the way.
All the way.
Yeah. Actually,
What
slippers. If I'm being
is
honest, slippers.
slippers? What's the craziest thing in your purse?
Um, I don't carry a purse.
Oh, okay. That's the
I
crazy
know.
thing.
I'm the like phone wallet keys and like pray to God that it all comes home with me.
There, I was gonna say, I mean, sometimes you're just like, where did I set those keys?
Yeah. I literally never have any idea where my keys are. So,
Okay, and now share with us what is your either favorite quote or favorite self-talk, or just one thing that you would say to yourself or tell your patients to say.
okay, so my favorite quote is a quote. Don't remember who said it, but it's actually on my wall behind me. But it's go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you've imagined. That
Oh,
is.
I like that.
And so I have it on a mug. And so anytime I'm having a bad day, because they happen, right? Where
They
you're
do
like,
happen.
why am I doing all this? I have my coffee out of that mug. Yeah, that's my favorite quote.
Okay, well, I always like to reflect on one thing throughout the whole podcast here that you might have said. And I have to say, it's probably that quote right there. I mean, we've unpacked a lot of stuff, but I love, well, and actually, I think I just love that. I believe in self-talk. I think it's huge. And so I stepped lightly, and I love that you corrected me and said, no, that's 100% a
Mhm.
huge thing. Trying to convince even my own family sometimes. I'm always like, my kids are like, Mom, stop being a cheerleader. Mom, we don't need motivational speaker right now. And I'm always like, no, the self-talk is so important. And if you're
Yeah.
not going to do it, I'm going to do it for you. Like,
Yeah.
so I love that you said 100%. That is so important for any of us because if
Mhm.
we're thinking negative and darkness, we're bringing negative and darkness, right? So
Absolutely.
if somebody says to me, how are you today? I'm always like, I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I, we're supposed to say what we want to be, not necessarily. I might not be
Exactly.
feeling perfect, but I ultimately want to get there. And I'm not going to be there if I'm like, it's
Yes.
I'm here. I
Yeah.
rolled out of bed.
Absolutely.
So I love that you said that. Thank you. And that quote
Yeah.
was beautiful. Say it one more time for us.
Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you've imagined.
Live the life you've imagined. I mean, and we all do. We all had this idea in our head of what life was going to be like, and it's not too late, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's
It
not too
never
late.
is. It never is. That's the thing. It's never too
Mhm.
late.
Yep, agreed. Well, Jenna, thank you so much for being part of Women and the Businesses They Own podcast. Your story matters, and today you told it beautifully. And to our listeners, remember she came, she spoke, and she inspired. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sherry.